All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here with world number 31 and proud KPMG ambassador right on the hat, Stacy Lewis. Stacy is a 12-time LPGA winner, including 2 majors, the 2011 ANA Inspiration, 2013 Rico Women's British Open, competing in her 11th event of the LPGA season, and this is also her 10th time here at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship with the best finish of tied for second in 2012. I want to start out with your KPMG relationship, Stacy. And earlier this year when you announced your pregnancy, you talked about how much they have been a support for you throughout this process. Talk to us about KPMG, your relationship with them, but what it means for women's athletics and women's golf as a greater whole.
Yeah, you know, my time with KPMG has been unbelievable. And I think you guys can see it this week and what they've done with this tournament over the last 4 years and just making it into I think the best major that we have from all aspects. And me personally, they've done a ton to support me and now my family too. And it's, you know, I couldn't be more thankful. And, you know, it's just cool how this idea that, you know, myself and John Viemeyer kind of concocted turned into all of this and how it's gotten better every year. And they really value my opinion and what I think and things that I think we need to improve on. It's better for the next year. So it's just cool to have that input and to really make this the best major that we have.
From KPMG to Marathon to Walmart, some of our larger corporations that sponsor the LPGA, a lot of it seems to come back to you. What has been your interest in the business side of things? That really seems to be, to me, something that fascinates you.
Yeah, I think as a player, it's our job to make sure that this tour continues to be in a great place. And, you know, I don't have a problem, you know, talking to a sponsor about hosting a tournament or sponsoring a player or whatever it is. I just think that it's our job to give back to this game and make our tour better. And, you know, been fortunate to be a part of, I guess you can see them on me, but a part of a couple of them. And what my sponsors have been able to do is pretty unbelievable, and it shows their faith that they have in me, and belief that that this tour deserves better and can get better.
And speaking of better, we hear this is a fabulous major venue. You've been out for more than 18 holes now. Tell us your thoughts on Kemper Lakes as we get ready to tee it up tomorrow.
I honestly love the golf course. It visually shapes a lot of shots for you. You know, you step up on a tee and you see whether you need a draw or whether you need a fade, and tree lined, which I love. I think it's going to be a really great test. Didn't want all that rain we had last night, but other than that, I think it's going to dry out fine and be a great championship. I love the look of it, and I think it's going to play hard. I think those last, I guess, like 3 or 4 holes are probably some of the hardest finishing holes we've had in a long time. So I always love a good par 4 finish, and we definitely have that this week.
Great. We'll open it up for questions. Raise your hand. We can bring a microphone around to you. We can start right here on the front with Karen.
Lynn, the CEO of KPMG, said that you had a videotaped message that's playing at the Women's Executive Summit, and I believe the message was basically like to push for better or for equal, or can you just summarize it for those of us who won't get to see it? Yeah,
I mean, the whole summit itself, you know, is based upon pushing women to be better and pushing us to raise the bar for each other. And, you know, that's really what the entire summit in this week is about is, you know, I mean, my greatest hope is that my daughter, when she's 18 and 20 years old, doesn't have to talk about making the same amount of money as her brother or her friend would. You know, that's my greatest hope, and that's what we're trying to change this week. We're trying to change the way women are thought about in the business world, the way they're thought about in the athletics field, and that's what this week's about.
The second row.
Nancy Armour with USA Today. Stacy, following up on that, it's not just KPMG paying your whole contract. There's a discussion on the tennis tour about whether Serena Williams and other moms should be seated when they come back.
Right.
What kind of sea change are you seeing, or are we seeing a sea change in the way that women are being looked at in athletics and taking
Right.
kind of charge of how they're being treated?
Well, I think as far as the maternity policies, I think ours is pretty good on the tour. But I definitely hope with what KPMG decided to do, I hope it changes the way contracts are written. That is already included in there, where it doesn't have to come, from a CEO or whoever's making all the decisions. Just for women in general, because I think there's a lot of women on this tour that you basically have to say, I'm willing to give up all of my income this year to have a baby. And that's a hard decision to make for a lot of people that, I'm fortunate that I'm not in that position but there's a lot of girls that, if they don't have income and they don't have their status next year, that's a big deal. So I hope it changes things. I hope it changes the way contracts are written more than anything.
We've got a question right here, and then back to Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the financial component, women have faced a lot of stigmas just being pregnant and working any job, but in athletics. And then with Serena playing and there's been some marathon runners. Do you feel like that part's changing too?
Yeah, I think, I think as you get older as athletes, you've been so focused and driven in what you want to accomplish, and then there's kind of that family component that kicks in the back of your mind, and you wonder how you can balance them all. And it's just with the money that we're able to make and the way that policies are written, it makes it easier for us to have families and to do it. To do it while we're playing. I want my kids, even though they may not ever remember it, I want them to know that they were a part of my career. I don't want to retire and then have kids. I want to do it all at the same time, and I want to show that it can be done, that it's not such a bad thing. And because really in the last, I'd say 10 years, we haven't had a lot of that on the LPGA Tour.
I'm going to go right back over here. Can you hand the microphone over to Lisa, and then Karen? Did you have another one?
Stacy, obviously you guys play a global tour, and I know you're thinking ahead. What are your thoughts about traveling with a child on the global tour that you have?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that we figure out as we go. I feel like that's kind of been my answer to everything as far as with the baby is, everybody asks how you're going to travel, how you're going to play, and I, honestly, I don't know. I'm going to do the best I can. I want to play as much as I can. How much the baby travels with me internationally is going to depend on a lot of factors. But I don't know. That's going to honestly be the hardest part. But the way our schedule is now, we have a lot more events in the U.S. and, maybe just put a lot of my focus there and limit the overseas stuff, which I'm completely okay doing.
Karen?
Two follows. Whose brains have you picked in that sphere? Because even Julie didn't have the international component. And if you hadn't had the KPMG contract, would you have been struggling more with the idea of, can I become pregnant at this time?
I'll answer your second one first, is that, no, I honestly never thought about the money part of it. I really I wanted to have a family, and but there was a lot of thoughts this year of, I need to make sure I'm playing good, trying to, play as good as I can. There was some pressure there to, make sure you can cover expenses and pay for your caddy and all that kind of stuff, which I had never really had to think about before. So what KPMG did just made all of that easier, and it took a lot of the pressure off for me trying to play right now. The first part was, whose brains? Well, I asked Julie, and she said, I don't remember, it was too long ago. And I talked to Karen Stupples a little bit about it, and she didn't have quite as much international travel as well. We just talked about getting the baby on a sleep schedule, and when you've got those, if you have a delay, you don't finish till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and just kind of those kind of challenges to it. But every time you end a conversation with a mom, they just say it's all worth it, and it's the greatest thing ever. So, it's not even just something you deal with and you move on.
Second row to Nancy.
Stacy, how did that conversation with KPMG come about? Did they approach you about the contract, or did you go to them? And what was the response with your other sponsors? Did they do something similar?
I actually told we actually told KPMG at the Masters when we saw them at the Masters what was happening, and they called us about a week later and said, this is what we want to do. We never even brought it up. Lynn just decided that, they've felt from the get-go that I'm a part of their company. I'm a part of what they do, and they wanted to treat me like that. So it 100% came from them. And my other sponsors we told them about, I had a couple others step up as well. And it was more of like, wow, I haven't thought of that before. It's kind of just one of those things nobody's ever thought about more than anything. So KPMG just kind of, got everybody's attention and got people thinking, which is what we want.
Next question for Stacy. All right, we're going to start over here in the center, and then we'll go back to you, Nancy.
Yeah, just looking ahead to this weekend, what parts of your game have you felt really good about, and are there some areas that you're hoping to really tune up before tomorrow?
Well, actually, I'm excited about the way I've been hitting the ball. Last week was probably the best ball striking week I've had all year, so I'm excited about that, and just had a couple of things with putting to shore up, but I'm excited about where I'm at. I'm just trying to manage the energy level and not do too much on these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just really be fresh for tomorrow.
And we'll go back to Nancy.
What kind of response or what kind of reaction have you gotten from other players? I mean, if anybody said, hey, thanks for doing this, or thanks for making this, bringing this into the spotlight and going along with that. It's 2018. Can you believe that this is finally being talked about?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were shocked to learn that had never happened before. Players that are moms and have kids, they thought it was the greatest thing ever, just because they have been in my position before and they know what that feels like. And they just thought it was, they thought it was unbelievable. But at the same time, it was, well, why don't they do that? So it's more than anything, it brought attention to it, and that's the goal, and that's why I put it out there. I didn't necessarily want to put it out there, but the more I thought about it, I was like, this could bring about some change, and we need to get it out there.
Anything further for Stacy? I'll wrap up with one final question. Yep. We just had an Olympians panel up over at the Leadership Summit. You, of course, a proud Olympian. And the tagline for this is "Inspire Greatness."
Right.
Clearly, you are inspiring greatness with what you're doing right now. Who inspired the greatness, or what inspired the greatness in you?
For me, my biggest inspiration has always been my college coaches. They honestly, I don't know what they saw in me, but they saw something in me to push me to the next level. They saw that I could be better than everybody else. They saw that, everybody, I don't know, it was just the way they went about things at practice. They held me to a higher standard, and I've always been very appreciative of that. And I don't know why they ever did that, but they definitely inspired me to be a professional athlete and to do what I'm doing.
Oh, thanks, Coach Taylor.
Yes, that's
we're
right.
very happy for that. Anything further? All right. Well, thanks so much, Stacy.
Right.
Have a great week.
Thank you.